So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. These are coming thick and fast. Obviously, we've got Spurs in a couple of days' time, New Year's Day to be precise. And I think some of you may have seen recently, I loaded up all our podcasts between now, all our slated podcasts between now and the 13th of January. And I think it's safe to say that you'll be sick of us by the 13th of January, because if any, and that's not even with transfer window news that will be coming in between. So it's going to be a busy period, but you know what? Wouldn't have it any other way. And I certainly wouldn't. And I suppose with all these games and so on that are going on at this moment in time, it allows me to be a small bit jealous of certain people. And one of those is my co-host Paddy, who is going to the Spurs match this weekend. So I'm going to be could be delighted to chat to him about this game today. And I know, Paddy, that you're looking at you're going for a few days, aren't you? When are you playing tomorrow?
Heading off in the morning, yeah. So don't be too jealous until the match actually takes place and see what happens afterwards, because many times have you gone and gone, I'm glad I didn't go to that game. So, reserve judgment or jealousy until the game takes place.
No, you see, Paddy, what you need to do is, and regular listeners to the podcast, is you need to be one of those hazy moods whereby you're like, I'm thinking about not even going. I'm not looking forward to going. I'm thinking about, because whenever that happens, we always go out, we win. I think, was it the Brentford game? Was it when Darren Dank was over? We were all down. We were 3-0 up after 15 minutes. So I think even if you just want to fool the karma gods into thinking that you're disappointed about having to go.
Well, I'm quietly optimistic that we can go and at least give them a rattle. That's all I want from this weekend. If I reckon if we go and rattle them early on, we'll have an opportunity to take something out of the game. So anything is possible. I'm after watching a pretty poor game between Man City and Leeds there, and I haven't watched everything because I think I'm overkill from the World Cup and everything else has gone on. So I watched Villa, obviously, and didn't bother watching Arsenal then later on. Didn't bother watching football last night. It was just reserved it for tonight. Watched that game tonight. Pretty underwhelmed by the whole performance. Bad atmosphere as well. No crowd getting involved in the game. So it's the time of year for that. People were complaining about it on St. Stephen's Day as well, Boxing Day, that Villa Park wasn't great. It's a time where you have a lot of people who normally get to matches that can't normally go for family reasons and family occasions at this time of year. So you don't know what you're going to get. So this is my second time going to Spurs, and I hope to see a better atmosphere than I did the last time because it was pretty poor.
Was it? I remember the last time you were there, it was an absolute sparkler of a day. I remember the sun was brilliant, and we got you in the stadium, and we hope to get you in the stadium again on Sunday again as well. Obviously, if I'm not mistaken, do they have that safe standing rail in front?
They do.
In the Spurs stadium for the NFL stuff, and there was some nice, cool little features that the stadium had, and obviously being the newest stadium in the Premier League, it's a nice novelty to go there, but. You mentioned there about the atmosphere. I can't remember what you mentioned about the atmosphere at the time, but
it wasn't helped by the fact that we were particularly poor. We lost the game 2-1. It was just after. It was one of the first games we could go to after the lockdown, where they had full stadia. I think it was around the 1st of October in 2021. So. Just over a year ago.
Yeah,
feels like an eternity ago. But look, it's a pleasure to be able to do trips like this. I'm eternally grateful that the hard work pays off to be able to go and watch Villa, because that's doing what we love. So we're going for the two children are having their Christmas present while we go away. So we've a special day for my daughter on Thursday, and then we've got. we've got the match on Sunday, and we're going to see the fireworks on New Year's Eve. So
Excellent.
trying to get everything all in together. So I'm looking forward to it now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, as I say, it's great to be able to bring the family with you and get them over there to a game as well. And you've done some good indoctrination of your family as well to get them all following Aston Villa. So I have a lot to learn from that point of view as well. But as you say, Aston Villa do play Spurs. And once again, I see a man in the comments here, and I completely forgot to message him for. You guys may remember that we used to have a feature, and it hasn't got away. It's just my absolute stupidity is the reason that it hasn't been here. But Stato Corner is something that I've completely forgotten about since the World Cup. And AVFC Stato is in the comments, and as you guys know, it is a superb resource for statistics and for pieces and nuggets of information. And Stato has put up here as well that Aston Villa were undefeated in 8 Premier League games on New Year's Day, winning 5 and drawing 3 prior to a 2-1 loss to last season to Manchester United. So it's one of our more favourable days, is what I'm taking from this as well, New Year's Day.
A 2-1 loss to Manchester United, where the referee went around the house. There was about 7 different phases of play, and then gave a penalty for a block on the edge of the box. Was it Jacob Ramsey he gave against? Yeah. Remember it well.
Yeah.
It's also AVFC Stato's birthday on New Year's Day. So happy birthday.
As well, yeah, absolutely. So you have to be a good luck charm. And you know what? I've got a statistic for you, AVFC Stato. Every year you've been alive, your birthday has been on New Year's Day. There you go. That's a statistic for you. I just want to say thanks very much to Matt Hanlon. Thank you so much, sir. You're an absolute legend of the podcast. And
cheers, Matt.
Really points for podcasters and good karma. And good karma is exactly, I think what we hope this weekend will bring, because Spurs still are, it's not been a happy hunting ground. Obviously, we lost 2-1 the last time you were there on the 3rd of October. We lost 4-0 last year, and it was a game where we peppered them in the second half, but literally every time Harry Kane got the ball, he could just do what he wanted with our 2 centre halves. And I must say, I am going to be a bit nervous about that matchup again, because it's the same centre half pairing. We have played a high line under Unai Emery so far, and I'm a bit tentative with regards to that. Now, saying that, we do have a Boubacar Kamara in the team, and we do have a resurgent Douglas Luiz and John McGinn, and we don't know who'd be on the other side yet. I would imagine it would still be Buendia, or maybe he does something different. He brings Dendoncker in and pushes Douglas Luiz out and plays Dendoncker and Kamara in the middle. Who knows? But we can't leave them the space, because as we know, when Harry Kane has his way and is able to drag defenders around the place, he can just play it like Son, Kulusevski, whoever he wants really in, and he's really good at that. And obviously his customary penalty that he will get in the game as well. But it's not been a happy hunting ground. We haven't beaten Spurs. I can't even remember. I can't even find the last time that we've beaten them here. I think that might be one for AVFC Stato. But in the last, we did. We beat them the 19th to the 5th in 2021. We beat them 2-1.
Yeah, we beat them It was the
Reguilon got that unbelievable own goal, if I remember rightly, and that's then correct. Watkins, I think, scored as well.
It was the day Carney hit the post, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was the day he came on. He came on in the last minute and he hit the post.
Remember him? Is he still playing football?
Don't know. I think there's a 30 for 30 on him at some stage. But yeah, I think if I remember rightly, they had some I think Harry Winks played that day. I think Gareth Bale might have even played that day. For Tottenham Hotspur. So both squads, well, actually I was going to say both squads have been overhauled, but they haven't, because a lot of the team that we had that day will still be there. I think I'm actually going to put up the team here. So actually we have overhauled this team. So Target won't be there, Courtney House won't be there, Traore, Grealish and Ghazi, there were the 3 behind Watkins, none of them will be there, and the Campbell won't be there as well. So yeah, I was wrong in what I said. There's 1, 2, 5, 6. There's 6 of our starting 11 that day will be completely changed for this game. So it's look, it's, as I say, it does show, and you probably don't. I certainly don't think that there's been that much of an overhaul, but that was only 2021, May 2021, which is only 18 months ago. So it is it's an interesting situation, I suppose, we find ourselves in at the moment. When we talk about an awful lot of that, the players that we have are still the same players we had last year. Yes, but those players were a lot of those players were only newly into the club last year as well, and we have new players in on top of those as well. So it's an interesting one. But Paddy, like the obvious part for the Villa are going to need to look at here is, look, Conte ball may not be the most, how would I put it? It may not be the most flattering on the eye, but it's always made to kind of catch you when you least expect it. And he did cop a small bit of flack before the break from the Spurs fans themselves, and there was a couple of people outside the Spurs house that were kind of talking about maybe do Spurs get rid of him and go for somebody like, do they get Poch back? Do they go for Zidane? I think I heard people talking about it at the time. The job that Conte has done, or the job, like, are we have the greater footballing fraternity over-egged the pudding regards to the job he's done at Spurs, or has he really done a great job to come in and turn it around from the Nuno days and from the Mourinho days and all that?
Well, I think the number one thing is he hasn't had enough time just yet to be judging like
100%.
that. There's guys on social media judging Unai Emery already, after a few games, and his competitive games have been quite good. What have we got? 6 points from 9 on in his competitive games. So, like I at the time when Spurs had a bit of a let's call it a wobble, I think it was around October, and there was a lot of people calling for him to be sacked as well. And I just shook my head, because he's obviously a very good manager. They are a bit hit and miss, 100% a little bit hit and miss, but I think given time he'll be okay. I think he'll keep them where they have been for the last 4 or 5 years, in and knocking around those Champions League places. So I don't know whether they expect to do any more without spending any money. So I just don't see Levy opening his checkbook, given the amount of money spent on the stadium and certain players since. So they can't ask for too much. I think they've just got to ride the storm of what's going on at the moment, and I think they will. They'll hang in and around those Champions League places, which is probably the extent of what they'll get. I can't see them pushing on to compete for the league or anything like that.
I could see them bringing in another centre half. I could see them bringing in another centre half and maybe push Eric Dyer. Look, I've had Matt Hayes on the podcast, and I went trolling with Spurs fans about this time last year about Eric Dyer, showing the amount of games Eric Dyer has played for England and for Spurs, and put him up there in comparison with the likes of Sol Campbell, just the rest of the good defenders they've had, Alderweireld, Vertonghen, and all those guys over the last 20 years. And Eric Dyer has outlasted them all. Eric Dyer is in it for the long haul, and when you think he's down and when you think he's out, all of a sudden he's starting centre half again. I think they could go and they could get somebody that could come in and play there, because they, before the break, they were actually playing as a back three of Romero was out at the time, but they were playing a back three of Dyer, Langley, and Ben Davies, and they were playing Sessegnon wide left. Now, obviously, Romero is to come in there, but I'd imagine if they could get an upgrade at centre half, that's where they would look at. But they've gone and they've spent money, as you said. Bentancur is somebody who everybody knows I really wanted at Aston Villa. He's excelling in the team for Spurs. They went and signed Yves Bissouma, who a lot of players wanted as well. Got him a cut price deal. Didn't have an awful lot of playing time before the break, but I would imagine he'd be more integrated now. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg is somebody who really anchors down that midfield there as well. So they've got some really top class players. But what I'm going to get at here, Paddy, is that they can have all the top class players that they want. If we create chances, we better take them. And that was kind of the story of the game against Liverpool. And I'm going to keep on saying it. We're going into this game, and we're going to be underdogs, and we're going to be punching up again. But what I'm going to say is that, I'll be upset again. And I'll be upset again if we have an opportunity to win this and we just let it roll down our leg, because we're getting to the cusp, and there's only so many times that moral victories will become a stable point. And I know people are going to say, what do you mean it was only one game against Liverpool? But I genuinely thought we could have got something out of Liverpool. I genuinely did. And as the game progressed, I genuinely thought we could have got something out of Liverpool, and we didn't take our chances, and we let some silly goals in. And I just really hope that we don't see that against Spurs. I'm looking for a tighter performance. I'd gladly take a 0-0 draw on Sunday. I take a drab 0-0 draw whereby we park the bus and we do everything right. And I take that at the weekend. Now, obviously, Paddy, you're going to tell me you want a 5-4 thriller whereby we come out at the right end of a 5-4 win. But
that would be nice because I tell you, for anyone that doesn't know me, I love going to see what different grounds have to offer. And this one, while it absolutely blew me away when it was empty, the minute fans came in, it came very, very, very quiet, which was incredible. So I would like to see an exciting game. I would like to see an exciting atmosphere, and to maybe set the tone for the rest of the year that we head into a bunch of games that we would hope to take points from. So I know we've said it a number of times. This is a free hit. There's a whole lot more to be worried about following the Liverpool game with our back four that I'm worried about, especially that high line that we're playing. I just think if you put Harry Kane in that position that Darwin Núñez was over the top, that ball will just be nestled in the bottom corner every day of the week. If that's Heung-min Son running onto a ball over the top, there's nobody catching him. So it's a completely different ball game here. But I do think they have a soft centre. I watched them against Brentford the other day. I thought they were average. Yeah. I thought they looked like they were suffering from a World Cup hangover. I was actually sorry we weren't playing them that day instead of New Year's Day. But look, I think it's going to be a funny few weeks until everybody settles back down again. Normally, after a World Cup, players are 4, 5, 6 weeks off. They're not getting that. Like you see, Emi Martinez is going to be back training this week. I don't know whether he'll even be in the squad, but he'll be back training. But they have their players missing. Lloris was missing strangely on the bench. I thought if he was good enough to be on the bench, he should have been on the pitch. And then I've forgotten the guy's name from Argentina that they had.
Romero
missing as well. So, and then you've got players who come back who are disappointed as well. The likes of Harry Kane and those would have been pretty disappointed to go out at the stage they were at. So there's a lot going on here, and I think until we probably see that weekend that we play Leeds, when the FA Cup is done and dusted, then we'll start to see things settle back down again.
Yeah, I think so too. And you made a great point there, Paddy. And also tying it into what you said about today's game against Leeds and Man City, even our game against Liverpool, games have been a bit weird since we've come back as teams are beginning to feel their way back into it. Look, some of the results haven't been because the results have gone to a plan, like Man City winning tonight, United winning, Liverpool beating us. So from the bookies form book, they've gone to plan anyway, not our plan. But as I said, there's been some weird passages of play whereby teams have gotten the upper hand on the other team. Like today, Leeds had a proper patch today. That Woody Nanto was playing really well against City. They held them for the first for a good period in the first half, and then Erling Haaland obviously just kicked into gear. Same with Aston Villa. We didn't get a hold in at the start of the game. We conceded early in the first half. We conceded late in the first half, and then when we came out in the second half, we came out like our hair was on fire because we needed to play. That is encouraging, and I do think that Unai Emery will take a lot of heart from the second half that we played against Liverpool, albeit that we were open as all hell at the back, and a ball into the channel. Ashley Young's channel was easily chased down by the likes of Darwin Núñez and Salah a couple of times. I think that we're going to have to really be on our toes with regards to that, because it was very, very blatant, that's what was going to happen at times, and that was our out ball in the second half. So maybe we see Matty Cash come back in there, like you mentioned, Paddy. Matty Cash has come back from the World Cup. He was on the bench. Lloris was on the bench. I know one's a goalkeeper, one's a right back, but Ashley Young obviously has been playing really well prior to the World Cup. Maybe he just kept Matty Cash out because he was in better form than him. But I suppose we'll see, and we'll know for the team sheet tantrum at the weekend. And I think it's going to be an interesting one, because I think we could see one or two changes. Maybe Bundia does get another start in that wide left role. Maybe he changes it up a small bit. Maybe he only plays one up top. Maybe who knows? Because we're still in the feeling out period of Unai Emery. We're still in the feeling out period. He's played the 4-2-2-2 in all his competitive games so far, and that is his favorite formation. But he has been known to change it up based on personnel and who they're playing as well. So hopefully that we will see, not hopefully that we'll see him change it up, but hopefully he comes up with the right mixture for this weekend. Paddy, one other little piece I wanted to ask you on as well is, and I don't think we discussed it. Well, we didn't, because I didn't have you on the post-match review. Unai Emery's substitutions, or lack thereof, or timing of them. Do you read anything into that from the point of view of those substitutions? I personally just think that we were getting an upper hand, and then they scored the third goal, and then he made the substitutions just basically to take people off because they were running to the ground at that stage. But what do you think about those subs?
Well, I agree with you in the sense that if he was going to change it up, and then we come out firing after half time, I thought for a period there we were fairly unplayable, and we were only a break of a ball from that getting going again, and I'm sure he saw there was an ability there to go and get at them and break them down, and we had many chances. So for that reason, he probably chose not to. If you're going to read into it deeper, he doesn't think the lads on the bench will do the job that he wants them to do, so he's left them where they are. There's loads of ways of looking at it, and I absolutely lambasted Gerrard so many times for leaving the substitutes too late. I didn't think they were required against Liverpool. I thought we were okay. I think on any other day against any other opposition, that game could have been 4 or 5 all. You just don't know what would have happened. Some of those chances, the McGinn one falls to Jacob Ramsey if he's fit. The Watkins one falls to Danny Ings. That's 3 each already. They had their chances, as I said. That Darwin Nunez, that falls to a Jota if he's fit. That's a goal. All of these things put together. But I believe he didn't make the substitutions because he felt there was an opportunity there to get at them. And even though we drifted a bit, we came back into it then for a few minutes and we drifted again. I think he realised at that stage that maybe we freshen up a little more and see if we can get another goal.
Yeah, I kind of tend to believe the same thing. At the time and in the moment, I was kind of thinking about 60, 65 minutes. I was thinking, right, it's probably time to haul McGinn, haul Buendia, just because of the work that they'd done. Maybe take out Bailey, bring in Ings, and maybe. But then again, I was kind of like, I was looking at who we had on the bench. I was like, who do we put in? Do we bring Ashley Young? Do we put Ashley Young up there? Do we put Cash in and solidify that right hand side? Maybe move Ashley Young further forward. Maybe bring in the Donker, move Luis to the left hand side and have the Donker. So I think what he had in the bench, he was limited from what he could do from that point of view. But I think that he thought that if we got the second goal, he was going to load off the bench. He was going to bring everybody off the bench and park that bus for a 2-2 draw. And I would have been absolutely delighted with that. And I think every fan would have come out of the stadium going, yes, that was a great battling back performance, and as we absolutely should have. But that third goal was a killer. And I think then at that stage, then it was a case of, look, throw the guys on with whatever. There was only 5 minutes to go, I think, for some of the substitutions there, but I wouldn't read too much into it. I thought we were well in the game and had enough on the field to score that second goal, albeit I thought that maybe 1 or 2 players were a bit leggy. I still think that they were still performing in the forward position. So it was,
and you got to remember too that be it that he's only had that was his 3rd competitive game, is that correct?
Yeah.
4th if you count the League Cup game. So he's a lot of learning to do about these players. So to leave the likes of Watkins, to leave the likes of Bailey on for that length of time, Buendia especially, gives them a good indication of what they have in the tank. I thought Bailey ran out of puff. I thought Watkins was industrious, but no end product as usual, unfortunately. I'd love to see that come together because obviously the guy really wants it and really works hard at his game. But you can't teach a guy to put the ball in the back of the net, unfortunately. I don't think. The
2 times he did put it in the back of the net were 2 super finishes. The only one I feel
you can teach a guy not to be offside. Like that's. It's very frustrating.
He was less than a foot offside for that one. I think there's nobody in the world knows they're offside in that instance, and he made the run through.
Well, as a striker, you watch the man that you can see in your vision. You try and stay the right side of him. He didn't.
Paddy. His foot was what was offside. It wasn't his body at all. Anyway, listen, we can get into the Watkins situation all day long, and we normally do.
No,
but
and
in this instance,
that wasn't the point I was getting at either. But
I know.
It's in fairness to him, I thought he had a good game. I other than the finishing, which is unfortunately what we bloody needed.
Yeah, the header,
other than the finishing, I'm not going to.
Header, I expected him to score. I think that's really one that he'd like to have back.
Well, like I asked the question to the guy in the pub with me because I watched the match in the pub. Could those two chances, the Watkins header and the McGinn header, could they have been gone out with their feet?
Yeah.
Would that have been a better option? I don't know, but that was just how I felt about it. If I was attacking that Watkins one, it might have been with a volley, and the McGinn one, I probably would have let it drop and hit it with my feet.
Are you thinking of Jimmy Quinn versus Ireland, Northern Ireland versus Ireland, scissor kick volley kind of situation? Like Is that what you're thinking in there? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Albeit I hate that goal because it was against the Republic of Ireland, but it was some finish. A scissor kick at the back post. Di Canio style, maybe for some younger viewers or maybe older viewers. Jesus, I don't know. Di Canio is no oil painting anyway at this stage. But yeah, I know what you mean. The McGinn one, I think certainly just caught him unawares, and yeah, I think. I'll put it this way, I think Jacob Ramsey's on the end of that McGinn situation. I think it's a goal. I think if Jacob Ramsey's on the end of both the Bailey situations, it's a goal. And that's a good point. That is a very, very positive point that we created those chances. Albeit our two centre halves, our back four in general, all our back four need to know where runners are coming from. We will have tons of runners coming in this game. Whether it be Son, whether it be Kulusevski, whether it be Perisic, whether it be late run from Bentancur, we're going to have tons of runners in this game, and there needs to be serious communication. And two of the three goals that were scored against us the weekend were due to non-existent communication. Specifically, the first one, I know it was a beautiful cross, but Sada literally just moonwalks in between two defenders, and look. That's that I think is frustrating, but it can be fixed. A couple of things here as well. AVFC Stato says the 3 goals in the last 5 Premier League games between Aston Villa and Spurs, 3 own goals, should I say, have been scored. Alderweireld, Target, and Reguilon. Stato also says that Harry Kane and Son both have unreal records against Aston Villa. No active player has scored more Premier League goals against Villa than Kane. It feels like he scored nearly all his goals against us as well.
Yeah.
Kua says, Vinny says, well, how's the boys? Corinthians were 33-1 yesterday to sign Philippe Coutinho. I had a 5 bet on, and they're down to 5-1 today. With the wages gone, we could probably bring in some lads. I think this is gathering a bit of steam, and actually Priest only about an hour ago seemed to allude to it as well, that it's building a lot of steam in Brazil. Maybe one to watch, albeit he came off the bench this weekend. I think it'll be up to the team, up to Philippe Coutinho if he wants to leave, number one. And second of all, if the teams in Brazil can cough up and pony up the dash, I think that that's what it's going to come down to here. But maybe one to watch. What do you think, Paddy?
Yeah, we've had this discussion before. I think for all parties, I think it would be a good move if he got out of there. Yes, we have seen him in fits and starts, but just hasn't been up to it for me. I think if we could get him off the wage bill, I think it would be important to us. I wouldn't even be bothered about recouping what we paid for him.
Oh no,
I just think the most important thing is to get those astronomical wages off the spreadsheet, and we could probably be paying 3 or 4 players for what we're paying him. 3 or 4 good players for what we're paying him.
We can only pay 3 carnies for what we're paying him, Paddy. But no, and look, anybody who knows the podcast and knows me as well, transfer fees at the level of like into another 20 million. It's gone. It means nothing to a club's balance sheet. Absolutely nothing.
And don't get me wrong.
Don't
get me wrong. When I say it'd be great to have him, it would be equally as great to have the Philippe Coutinho of Liverpool days pulling the strings in there. Happy days. I would be over the moon, and I would gladly have him there. He's been really good for the profile of the club. If he was to come good again in this system, I'd be absolutely delighted.
Absolutely, I think so too. Yeah, this is a good point from John Steele as well. Like to see what Coutinho can do under an actual coach. Coutinho does respond to coaching. When he moved to Barcelona, I'm trying to think who was the coach of Barcelona when he moved.
Jeez.
Was it Luis Enrique just before he?
Oh, jeez.
But
I wouldn't. Yeah.
like a lot of the play, like he would have been under your man, the guy Gerardo Martinez, is it?
Yeah.
He would have been under the other guy that came from Bilbao. Like
I,
what I'm trying to say is
I've lost track completely of
yeah, so have
of
I.
those managers. Like I could have nearly told you back in the day, to the day when a Barcelona manager
Yeah,
left, but in the
yeah.
last few years, it's just been nothing but the shit show and upheaval all over the place. So yeah, it must have been Enrique. It's the logical one
I
for
think
yeah.
I think it must have been Luis Enrique, and when what I'm trying to get at here is that he didn't stick around too much longer because I think he left, didn't he, when his daughter took poorly, and then they've had a kind of a carousel since there. Tata
Mm.
Martinez, I think is what they used to call Gerardo Martinez, and then the guy from Bilbao. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at here is that consistent turnover of managers, and I'm not going to call them average managers because they're professional managers in their own right, but none of them would be up to the mark of Unai Emery, and that is true. I think, John, that Coutinho, if Coutinho is ever going to respond to good coaching, he's going to respond to coaching under Unai Emery. But then again, he's 30 going on 31. Maybe he doesn't want to put in the hard yards up and down the hills and the old school fitness training that comes with it. Maybe he wants to be back in the Copacabana. Maybe he wants to be back in Brazil. And and for all the football that he's played and what he's done in his career, he's that could be the way he's thinking as well. So it's an interesting one for sure. It really is an interesting one for sure. Another one here is: do you think it'll be Watkins and Bailey, or will it be Ings, Watkins, and Bailey? Do you think?
Before I answer that question, I have to ask Gary Howlett. Gary, are you the guy that played for Shelbourne back in the day? Because
I think
our
you asked
past,
him this already.
I probably did, but I can't remember. But
Because you
it's been
did.
playing in my
I
mind.
asked him, was he the Birmingham manager?
Not Gary Rowett, no.
Yeah, it was Gary Rowett. Yeah, because that's why I remember it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know what it's going to be. I think it'll be Bailey and another, as we say in our programs here in Ireland.
Yeah.
I think Watkins probably did enough to deserve a start, but won't deserve a finish if he can't put the ball in the back of the net. Now he has scored against Spurs previously, and he scored a few goals. I just reckon my brain that Danny Ings can score 4 and 4 and then be dropped is mind-boggling. We need goals. We need goals to come from somewhere, and when you've got a goal scorer on the bench, he's got to be in there somehow. So if that's at Bailey's expense, I don't know. But there's goals in Bailey too, obviously. So it'll be an interesting team sheet to see what he puts out, and an important one too. And I hope, but I'm losing a little bit of faith that it'll be Emi Martinez in goals. I'd prefer if it was.
He's on a plane.
No, he's on the plane at the moment. I know, but is it going to be enough? Is there going to be enough time to get him on the pitch? I would hope so.
He'll have Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Sure, Hugo Lloris only had to get on the Eurotunnel and come back, and he didn't play at the weekend, so I don't know.
McGrath didn't train during the week, and he played at the weekend as well. So there are these modern miracles of no one are look. He'll have get sepsis in his tattoo in his leg or something, and he'll be out for 7 or 8 weeks now or some shite like that. We'll see, because that is what happens at Aston Villa Football Club. But we shall see. And there's another comment here as well from Michael Huggins, and I know, Michael, you've put this in a couple of times, and that's why I want to bring it up here. As Michael has asked, boys, will we see you both at Villa Park next year? I had an audacious plan to go to every home game after Christmas, but life is very much changing for me at the moment in a lot of good ways. So I've had to curtail that, but I will definitely be over before the end of the season, and I'm scouting out early to mid-March, potentially Paddy's Day or the Paddy's weekend fixture against Bournemouth. I'm potentially thinking about that one, or the early March fixture against Leicester. And then, of course, there is a late March fixture against Fulham. So I'm thinking of one of those 3 games. But the Fulham game is a Friday night game. I'd love to go to a Friday night lights game, because I haven't been there in a while. So yes is the answer. When I don't know. I would have been able to tell you I'd been over there quite a lot after Christmas, about 6 weeks ago. But now my next year is very much not my own. So
I presume he is asking the question: will we see both of us together at the match?
yeah. I think that's what he's asking. That's what he's asking.
Yeah.
But put it this way, Paddy, I'm telling you when I'm thinking of going over.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to the Arsenal game, and
Yes. Yeah.
I've been waiting on Neil to answer the question of when he's going before I book the next one, because I've obviously got to be careful with my weekends away as well. So we'll work something out, I'd say.
We definitely will. Yeah, we definitely will for sure. Right. No, Paddy, I'm the other Gary Howlett. Oh yes, you're the second one in the phone book, not the first one. Gotcha.
Yeah. I know, it's because I obviously crossed paths with the other Gary Howlett, and I don't remember him ever being a Villa fan, but he could have been a Spurs fan in here storing shit. But I know Gary has been here many times, so I just said I'd ask the question.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, guys and girls, thank you so much. It's 20 to 11, and it's a Wednesday for those of you who are in that mid-Christmas and New Year's fun, not knowing what day it is. It is Wednesday. Yes, yeah. Usually when I was afforded the time of having all this time off over Christmas, but now I work most of the times over Christmas. What I used to do is write. I get up in the morning, I'd write what day it was on my hand, just so that I knew what day it was when I went to the pub. That was really what it was. But so that's a top tip for you guys. Write it and then put a bit of sellotape over it so it doesn't wash off during the course of the day, or a bit of nail varnish. That can do it as well. So
Christopher saying,
for getting the day right. For getting the day right is congratulations. Paddy's right. Orbital are playing in Limerick on March the 16th. Paddy, we would try and blag tickets to Orbital on March the 16th and then make our way to Shannon then the day afterwards to fly over to Birmingham. That's what we might do. Worked last time.
that sounds like it could be a mad weekend.
Exactly. Absolutely. Well, listen, we're going to leave it at that, guys and girls. Thank you so much for jumping on tonight. Really appreciate it. If you do like the podcast, give us a thumbs up. If it's your first time checking in and watching, please subscribe to the podcast as well. And we will be back on Sunday with a team sheet tantrum and a post match after the game as well. So thanks so much, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and we will chat to you later on. If there's any transfer news or anything pops up over the next few days, I'll probably jump on as well. So be prepared. Hit the little bell button for notifications if you do like our dulcet tones, and anything pops up in the meantime. But thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Here's hoping that Aston Villa can do the business against Spurs on New Year's Day. But until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.